What's up? Welcome back. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Really helps this channel a lot. So as I've thought about going over the putting, I've decided that I want to be as thorough as possible. So it's actually going to take more parts to do this entire series than I initially thought. As I've been going over thinking about the information and outlining it, I realized that there's a lot that needs to go over, and I hope to provide some information on this channel that may not be as readily available in other places. So here goes. This is going to be putting part 2. In the first part of putting, we covered the grip, setup, and posture, and now we are going to go over the face. So when I talk about the face of the putter, I'm talking about the putter face itself, and that is this area of the putter right here. This is known as the face of the putter. This is what contacts the ball, hopefully. And we're going to discuss all about the face of the putter. I feel that it's important, if you want to be a great putter, to understand the nuances of putting and also the specifics of what exactly is happening. That being said, if you want to become a great putter, you have to think about the 3 dimensions of putting. Most time we just think about the 2 dimensions, and that is the path that the club takes through, the putter head takes through the ball, and the rotation of the face angle. But you also have to think about the vertical plane, and that is your angle of attack and the loft of the putter. So there are actually 3 dimensions to putting. One of those dimensions, essentially one of those dimensions being this way, one of them being this way, and the other one being vertical. The first dimension is going to involve the face angle, how much the putter rotates this way. The second dimension is going to involve how the putter moves in this direction, not just this direction, but this direction. And the third dimension is going to be how the putter reacts vertically. In this video, we'll only be dealing with 2 of the 3 dimensions. That is, we'll be dealing with the face angle, the rotation of the face, and we'll also be looking at the loft of the putter. In the next videos, when we go over the stroke, that will determine the angle of attack and the path that the putter takes. So first we're going to discuss the face angle, and the face angle is going to determine where the ball goes. We've already looked at aiming a golf club where we use the leading edge of the golf club. Similarly, when we putt, you want to think of the putter not as the whole putter head itself. What's really important about the putter is the face of it, because that's what we're impacting it. So you really want to, when you're visualizing and thinking about your putter when it's on the ground, you need to be aware of the face, not necessarily the lines on the back. The lines on the back do help with alignment, but we really want to be concerned with the face. That's what you want to be aimed towards your target, because wherever that's aimed, that's where the ball will go. The ball will take off perpendicularly to this face, so it's going to take off like this. The more loft that a club has, the less that the face has an impact on where it goes. So the direction of the face is going to have less impact on, say, a sand wedge than it will on a 7-iron. However, the largest determinant of where a ball goes is the face angle. It's much more important than the path. So having your face straight at impact where you want the ball to take off is paramount for you to be able to make putts. It doesn't really matter where you start out at. What matters is where you are at impact. If the face is square to your target line at impact, that is where the ball will go. So here I'm going to demonstrate to you how face angle is more important, much more so than the path. First, I'm going to stroke the ball with a relatively straight path and a straight face. And it will go straight perpendicularly to the putter head, which is expected. Now, consider that I have the face square pointing this way, except now I'm going to cut across the ball. I'm going to go straight outside and in, but I'm going to maintain the face square. Notice where the ball takes off. The ball is still going to take off this way. Even if I cut across the ball severely, if I have wherever the face is pointed, that's where the ball takes off. The ball still goes that way. Even though my path was cutting across the ball, the ball still took off perpendicularly to the face. Same thing if I go very inside and come across the ball from inside out like this, the ball is still going to take off perpendicularly to the face. So your face angle is going to have a much larger impact on the direction of the ball than your path will. In other words, to make putts, you have to ensure that the face is straight with your intended target line, perpendicular, that when you make impact, the face is perpendicular to your target line. I'll show you a couple more of these. So here's going to be with the face square with a cut, and we're going to try to hit it towards this leaf here. So I'm going to aim at that leaf and cut it with the face square, and it goes straight towards the leaf, even though I cut across it. I went straight outside and inside. Now I'll go straight inside and outside, and you'll see that the ball still takes off towards the leaf. It is true that a very outside in path is going to cut the ball, so it will have a little bit of cut spin. Likewise, coming from this side, inside out, is going to put a little bit of draw spin on the ball, and this may or may not be preferable. The takeaway from that demonstration was to show you that the face angle is much more important to determine the direction the ball will take off at impact than the path that you choose to use. So if you want to make a lot of putts, that means at impact, you need your face perpendicular to your intended target line. So to give you an idea of the error that you will incur having the face open or closed just 1 degree, I'm going to post an image that you can see how much error you will have at 5 feet, at 10 feet, and at 20 feet of putting, just 1 degree open or closed. So you can get an idea of how exact you have to be. Putting really is just degrees of error. 1 degree is enough to likely miss the putt at 10 feet. So pay attention to these numbers. It's important to know if you're going to be a good putter. In other words, you need to be able to return to within 1 degree of accuracy from your intended target line. That will give you the best chance to send it down the line that you want. Preferably your stroke, you want to develop your stroke so that you can return the putter head to within less than half of a degree of where you want it. Okay, so what you see here on this image is 3 different putts, one from 5 feet, one from 10 feet, and one from 20 feet. And under them you see the equation that I used to derive in inches the opposite side of this triangle, which would be the error from the center of the hole, if you were to have your face open or closed only 1 degree. And 1 degree, of course, is not that much. You know that a right angle is 90 degrees, so 1 degree is not that much. And we see here at 5 feet that 1 degree of open or closed from our intended straight line is exactly 1.047 inches off from center, so about 1 inch. And that's only at 5 feet. And recall that a golf hole has 4¼ inches of diameter. So 1 inch is going to be like half your error. So that means half of the diameter, or the radius, would be about 2.125. So 2 1/8 inches on either side of center. And this is the makeable area that you have the space to hit to make the putt, presumably. So 1 degree already is going to put you at 1 inch off at 5 feet. Now understand that these are just triangles in perfect situations where the putt is exactly flat. Of course, this is not realistic. This is not taking into consideration grain of the grass, thickness of the grass, or slope. These are just perfect numbers. So any slope, any grain is going to exacerbate these errors. So 1 degree at 5 feet is going to be about 1 inches of error. 2 degrees is going to be, it's quite linear, so it's about double, up to about 45 degrees tangent is somewhat linear, so we can use it to approximate it. At 2 degrees, it would be about 2 inches of error. So already 2 degrees of error at 5 feet is going to be enough for it to be maybe lip in, maybe lip out. It's going to be riding the lip, the same that 1 degree of error would be at 10 feet. At 10 feet, you see that there's an error of 2.095 inches, or about 2.1 inches of error. So that definitely at 10 feet, 1 degree of openness or closeness will cause the ball to go towards the lip, and it may lip in, it may lip out. It's going to be right on the lip. Already at 20 feet, we have 4.2 inches of error for every degree. So that's missing the hole entirely. That means you're going to miss outside the lip by 2 inches or more on the left or the right, depending if you were 1 degree closed or open. So the idea here is that aiming the putter face, because we know that the ball takes off perpendicular to the putter face, aiming the putter face is of the utmost importance, making sure that at impact that the putter face is aimed towards our intended target line, whatever that may be. So try to develop your stroke such that you can return the putter face where you initially set it up within half a degree of error. That's going to be a pretty reasonable putting stroke. The next thing we'll talk about is the loft of the putter and shaft lean. Whether you know it or not, putters are designed with a certain amount of loft. They're not loftless. They don't have 0 degrees of loft. Most of them are manufactured anywhere between about 3 or 6 degrees of loft. 4 has been shown to be quite ideal, but it has some loft, less than a driver, but not 0. So you can see here on this putter, I will show you with the straight edge what the loft is. If we consider the shaft to be, straight up and down, then we'll see that the loft of the putter is actually, when I hold it straight against the face, you see that it comes against the shaft here a little bit. So the loft of the putter is that much, where if this is straight with the shaft or so, then the loft is this much, which is about 4 degrees. So the loft of the putter involves one of the vertical dimensions of putting. When we putt, we do want to use some loft. It needs to be slightly lofted so that when it hits the ball, it lifts it up out of the ground a little bit and then onto the surface. We can adjust the loft of the putter slightly by increasing the shaft lean or decreasing the shaft lean. If I move the shaft lean back, it opens the putter up some, and if I move the shaft forward, it will close it down. Now, I don't want too much loft because I don't want to lob it out of the ground, and the putter would not sit flat on the ground that way, nor do I want too little loft. Having too little loft is sometimes an error many golfers make. It's easy to have too little loft, and if you have too much forward shaft lean, what happens is that now it's possible that you're hitting it with no loft or with negative loft. If your putter does not have very much loft to begin with, and you move the shaft way forward, then now the face of the putter is like this slightly. And so when you impact the ball like that with negative loft, what happens is that when it hits the ball, it actually pushes the ball into the ground. It's wedging it against the ground and the putter face. And when that happens, it tends to squirt out. The energy is going to release somewhere, and it could release anywhere, the path of least resistance. So a little blade of grass or anything could cause it to squirt out in any direction, less the intended one. So it's best not to trap the ball in between the loft of the putter and the ground, because the balls will tend to squirt out and they won't roll and travel straight. You need the loft of the putter to lift it out of the hole that it's sitting in, out of the ground, to push it up a little bit and into and then onto the surface of the grass so it begins to roll. So remember, if you're missing a lot of short putts, or you find that your shorter putts are kind of just squirting out, it may be that you've deep lofted the putter too much and you're hitting too much down on the ball, pressing it into the ground, and then it's bouncing off the ground anywhere. Now, I should certainly be clear that there are many different types of putting surfaces. There are many different types of grass used on greens. Different greens, different grass, different cut lengths require different techniques. If you're playing on a very fast, hard green, the technique that you use for putting is going to be different than the technique you would be using to play a very slow, furry green. So depending on your course, you're going to have to approach it in a little bit of a different way. What I was talking about with the shaft lean and with the loft of the putter, oftentimes more loft works better on hairier greens because it puts it up on top of the grass. and it's easy to have too little loft on furry greens, and then when you push it into the grass grabs the ball and it just doesn't go out well. So longer greens, typically it's okay to have more loft. On shorter greens, you can have less loft because there's less places for it to hit the grass and it will just go straight instead. Hope you enjoyed it and you learned something about the face of the putter. We're going to pick it up next time with the path or the arc, methods, and the muscles used.